to start? Okay, we're going to call the open session to order. Do you need roll call again, clerk?
I do.
Okay.
Caldwell,
Here.
Palashek, Bowman,
Here.
Leisha,
Here.
Faith,
Here.
Pabon,
Here.
Bruckman,
Here.
Carmichael,
Here.
8 ayes, Mayor.
Okay, we have a presentation about the ADA, Americans with Disabilities Act, transition plan for the pedestrian facilities on the public right-of-way. Leading off is going to be our senior engineer, Nicole Campbell. Nicole, it's all yours.
Good evening, everyone. Hope all is well. A bit of history as to the purpose of this initial presentation. The City of Berwyn applied for a local technical assistance, LTA, grant with the Chicago Metropolitan Agency of Planning, CMAP, for Americans with Disability Act, ADA, transition plan. Per law, all municipalities need to have a compiled and approved and adopted plan to work off of. So, with CMAP's assistance, they have brought on Oates and Associates, which is a civil engineering firm that has developed these type of plans statewide, locally for our neighbors, and things of that sort. So, as part of compiling the plan, the city over years has and are in the process of doing several projects to bring us into compliance. We've been inventorying our infrastructure, but we needed assistance with trying to bring that all together, filling in any gaps, writing a very lengthy plan where city staff just really doesn't have the capacity to handle that. So we are very happy to have Oates and Associates on board. Like I said, they're going to assist us with our inventory, assist us with identifying issues, providing feasible engineering solutions that meet FHWA, Federal Highway Association standards, or the feds, so that will keep us eligible for federal funding. I think that's it in a nutshell. So I'll let you guys take over. Unless anybody has questions for me right now. Okay.
Good evening, Mayor Lavero and City Council members. My name is Victoria Barrett. I have the easy job tonight. I am from CMAP, the Chicago Metropolitan Agency for Planning, and I will get to introduce our amazing consultant, Travis Helmkamp, with Oates Associates. But I wanted to give you a little bit of background information about CMAP's Accessible Communities Program. So CMAP's Accessible Communities Program started in about 2021 with the goal of improving compliance around our region with federal regulations, as Nicole just mentioned, regulations related to the ADA Act. At the time the program was founded, only 11% of communities in our region were compliant with federal law. So CMAP has dedicated staff and resources with funding to correct that as fast as we can. And I want to just give a huge commendation to the City of Berwyn for being among our first cohort of communities to undertake the development of an ADA transition plan with CMAP's Technical Assistance Program. As Travis will explain what's included in an ADA transition plan, I just want to point out one word in this project, which is transition. A transition plan is a long-term plan for progress. This work will not happen overnight. It will take years and perhaps decades to complete the work needed to bring the public right-of-way into compliance with federal standards. And this work is maybe never actually complete, but having a thoughtful plan for improvements that is informed by community standards is in the best interest of the residents of Berwyn and will make for an improved quality of life for everyone who lives here. So I want to commend City of Berwyn one more time for its leadership in this important work, I also want to give a huge shout out to Berwyn City staff, including Nicole and Claudia, who've been essential in this plan. And with that, I'll introduce Travis Helmkamp with Oates Associates. Watch out for the mic.
Thank you, Vicki. Again, my name's Travis Helmkamp. I'm with Oates Associates. We're the consulting engineers who was hired by CMAP to work on this project. I think off the bat, I want to say we're sort of here tonight to kick off the end of the community engagement process. This plan is not complete today. The plan's not going to be complete until we get the feedback from the public. But prior to going to the public, we thought it was really important to go to you guys first for a couple different reasons. Number one, anything that you guys can do to help us get out the word would be greatly appreciated. This plan's only as good as what the public provides feedback. We're the consulting engineers. We don't walk your sidewalks every single day. Your constituents are the ones who walk the sidewalks every single day. So they are the experts on this matter. I might be considered like a global expert. They are definitely the local expert. So that's really ask number one that we have for you is we'll share resources, social media posts, all that stuff as time goes on. But as you guys can help get that feedback, the better the plan's going to be. And secondly, we want your guys' feedback on this. A lot of what we're going to talk about tonight is going to be the actions that come out of this. So your guys' priorities matter to us because we want a plan that's going to be used. If we develop this plan and it becomes a really heavy bookmark, we haven't done our job. Bookmark's not the right word. I'll figure out the right word as we go along. Paperweight, there we go. I'll figure it out, I promise. So yeah, ask questions tonight. If you got a question, please ask it. We're a small group, so don't feel like you have to wait till the end. The answer might be that we'll get to that later on, but certainly get my attention, ask questions. This is very much intended to be an interactive conversation between the project team and yourself.
Does your presentation include questions that we can ask our constituents either by our website or the aldermen themselves so we know what you're looking to, what kind of feedback you're looking, what kind of questions you need to have answered?
It's not in the presentation specifically, but I think that's a great idea. So I can send that out as follow-up I can coordinate with Claudia and we can get that out to the group. Because I agree, I think that's a really good idea of not just saying, hey, read this plan, but hey, this is this is how you can help us on the plan.
Okay.
No, I think that's a great idea. Not here tonight.
Okay, all right.
So I think starting off.
Travis, can I interrupt really quick?
Oh, yes.
Just to add to that, would it be best to give feedback through like the map, the interactive map that you guys have, or through like email, something like that? If constituents are wanting to give feedback, what would be the best way to do that?
The honest answer is we'll take feedback any way they want to give us feedback.
Okay.
So the map's great because the map's very visual, and the best thing about the map is they can add pictures to the map. Has anybody here not seen the map that he's referring to yet? So on CMAP's website, there's an interactive map of the city of Berwyn, and you can drop a pin, say exactly what your challenges are, and then include pictures of those challenges. But we also have comment forms that if someone comes to a meeting and they want to write out a paper comment form, great. If someone wants to send us an email and say, these are my 27 complaints, fantastic. The honest answer is we'll take people however people want to come to us. But I think the map's a great resource that is available.
Yeah, so this evening we do have flyers on this small little table here. Comment letters in English and Spanish, FAQs in English and Spanish, and if you wish to follow the progress of the plan, if you want to leave your name, your email address, or mailing address,
Yeah, however.
we can keep you up to date on how things are going.
Yep, I mean, the map's a great resource, but the honest answer is a lot of people, we don't get a lot of comments, so heck, if someone's willing to pull me over on the street and give me a comment, I consider that to be a comment. So, we will start, if this works. So, first things first, just want to really start with sort of what we're doing here. Specifically, this ADA transition plan, ADA is Americans with Disabilities Act. ADA transition plan is specifically focused on sidewalk needs on public right-of-way. So whenever we say sidewalk needs, we're not just talking sidewalks. We're talking sidewalks, curb ramps, crosswalks, bus stops, pedestrian traffic signals. I'm going to use the term sidewalk as a very broad term tonight, just so I don't have to repeat the 9 words every single time. But on public right-of-way. So I will note that's not just city right-of-way, that's state right-of-way, that's county right-of-way as well. Because the honest answer is, for the citizens of Berwyn, they don't walk down the side, they don't walk down Harlem and go, hold on, this is an IDOT road. As far as they're concerned, it's a road in the city of Berwyn. So we assess every single sidewalk because IDOT's going to be part of the solution, the county's going to be part of the solution, but from the residents' perspective, we can get feedback about anything. What we're ultimately doing is a complete inventory of the sidewalk facilities. Admittedly, it is a snapshot in time. But what it really is going to provide the city with is a broad view of the current condition of the sidewalks throughout the city of Berwyn. And the honest answer is, your sidewalks are just like everybody else's sidewalks in the country. You have some awesome sidewalks, you have some sidewalks that need some work. You guys have done a really good job, but there's additional actions that need to be taken. The main thing that an ADA transition plan is it is not an indictment on what's happened in the past. Everything that's happened in the past has led up to this moment. So we want to celebrate that past work while helping to provide what the future is going to be for Berwyn. Steps of an ADA transition plan. First and foremost, you guys do already have an ADA coordinator. That is Ruth Ciaba Green. What the ADA coordinator is sort of that central clearinghouse for ADA in the city of Berwyn. It does not mean that she is responsible for answering every single question. What it means is that if somebody calls with a question, they can talk to ADA is all-encompassing. We're here tonight to talk about sidewalks, but police have ADA responsibilities, the website has ADA responsibilities, buildings have ADA responsibilities. ADA is really part of everything in municipal government. But we're here tonight specifically to talk about sidewalks. Providing a notice to the public. This has already been published by the city, and what that is just sort of the general rights of the citizens under the notice to the public. For example, if somebody wants a sign language interpreter, they don't have to pay for that sign language interpreter. The city will go out and find an interpreter for them. However, the protection back for the city is they can't show up 5 minutes before a council meeting and say, I need a sign language interpreter. There's a time meeting and say, I need a sign language interpreter. There's a time frame established in there so that the city has time to actually go out and find an interpreter. Establishing a grievance procedure. What this is all about is how does someone let the city know that they have a concern? It formalizes the process because it lets Ms. Ciaba Green have clear documentation of when those grievances come in. Because the way that they often come in is they call the front desk, and then the front desk passes them on to the right person. Now what it allows them to do is you fill out a short little piece of paper, and then that's your record that you did something about it. A lot of the ADA is about record keeping. Develop internal design standards. You guys already have good internal design standards. We did not do a lot with that. But really the goal there is from this point forward, things get built properly. So before I move on, anybody have any big picture questions on sort of those first 4 steps of the plan? Okay, not hearing anything. The big thing that Oates did on this project was completing the self-evaluation. So we used a product called Deep Walk, which is a mobile LiDAR scanner, and we walked every single sidewalk and curb ramp throughout the city. And what that scanner does is it's able to pick up vertical displacements, so that's the separation of joints in the sidewalk. It's able to pick up the cross slope, so that is the slope perpendicular to the curb line. Driveways are a big issue for especially people in wheelchairs. If you ever talk to someone in a wheelchair, take a look at them. Their left arm is always significantly stronger than their right arm because their left arm is what's pushing them up the cross slope. So that's why the cross slope is so important. It's for the wheelchairs and so that they don't tip over. We also took a look at your traffic signals. We took a look at your crosswalks, bus stops. Yes, those are pace stops, CTA stops, but they are on city right-of-way. Therefore, we looked at them just so, because the honest answer is if anybody ever has a complaint, they're going to complain against everybody and figure it out later. Approve a schedule and budget. Vicki already hit on this. This is a long-term process. The city's not going to be able, there's not a single city in the United States that'll make themselves compliant overnight. But what this is about is sort of what's the city's vision for how they're going to reach accessibility. And that's going to be a long-term process, but it's better to start the long-term process today than it is to start the long-term process 5 years from now. And lastly, monitoring the progress of the plan. Who within city staff is going to be that person who asks the question, what have we done about ADA this year? We said in the plan that we were going to do this. Who's going to own that plan moving forward? Because at the end of the day, I go away, Vicki goes away, and it's going to be you guys and the staff that are left.
I'm pointing at Nicole.
For the record, the mayor pointed at Nicole. But yeah, I mean, it is. But you guys are all going to be a part of it. This is not something that Nicole can do on her own. So it's going to be Nicole and who's going to be Nicole's support system. And that's really sort of the last step of the plan as far as I'm concerned, is I want Nicole to leave feeling like this is something that she is prepared to not do herself, but to lead.
Can I ask a question again?
Yes.
What ends up happening to that LiDAR data? Is that something that would be accessible to others, or is that something the city would retain?
So it ultimately becomes ownership of the city of Berwyn, but the intention is that CMAP is going to host basically like a region-wide map of basically every plan that they do throughout the region. So whether it's Berwyn or LaGrange Park or Elgin, there's going to be like a region-wide database of sort of the efforts that the communities are taking. But yes, Oates retains ownership of nothing at the end of this product. Everything goes to you guys. Yes?
So sort of along those lines, are neighbors participating in a similar fashion? So that, like, I'm thinking like, oh, the road goes here and then it stops and then it starts again, and or, you know what I mean? Like, are the sidewalks, so to speak?
As of this moment, not that I know of. I know that Oak Park has an ADA transition plan. I don't know about all the other communities around it. But again, I think this is really CMAP's dream here, is that you guys are the kickstart of that. You guys are in the first batch of ADA plans that CMAP has done. But every city has an obligation to do one. And as this goes on, that's going to be part of Nicole's monitoring is, okay, we're doing this. How can you guys pair with us as she gets toward the edges? Because it's a team effort. Kind of how we talked about how residents, whether they're in Berwyn or Cicero, that sidewalk doesn't really matter to the residents. They're trying to get from A to B. No, you're absolutely right.
In terms of the self-evaluation, does that incorporate age of those sidewalks, materials used, if they're ADA compliant already, and then is that a check of the box that they are ADA compliant already, and just thinking 5-10 years down the road, the ever sort of changing landscape of legislation and maybe what would evolve from an ADA compliant standpoint, does that take into account any of that?
Not so much the age, but it does take into account the material, and it does document what's compliant and what's not compliant. And honestly, the biggest issue is not the legislative change, but just the damage that freeze thaw does on every single sidewalk in the city of Berwyn. And that's why I always describe this as an in perpetuity plan, because what's accessible today is not going to be accessible 40 years from now. You know, sidewalks are going to fail.
But this is always a modifiable plan so that we can adjust to whatever changing legislation.
Exactly.
Right.
Yep. So this is set up so either one, you guys can go out and collect more data. That could be reaching back out to the LiDAR company again. It could be other ways of collecting the data. And it's also set up that your guys within GIS, so all this is done within GIS, and you guys can modify sort of what triggers you have, and then also what's important. We're going to talk a lot about prioritization later, and it's set up so you guys can modify those priorities as well.
Yeah, I wanted to know, we have a lot of bus stops, a lot of train stops in the city.
spend our resources on the hazard areas. Um, just to give you an idea of how much stuff we have out there that we need to take into consideration.
Yeah, so some quick stats. You guys have 163 miles of sidewalk. You guys have somewhere around 3,100 curb ramps. You guys have 40-something traffic signals, and there's about 8 pedestrian traffic signals per intersection, 3 train stations, and 20 to 30 bus stops, if not more than that, I believe. You guys are a dense community, but you guys have a lot of infrastructure.
But your data has already been updated by the amount of curb cross that we put in, all the new ones we just put in, because that's happening all over the city.
Yep, so it is up to date as of the second. What you guys do next year won't necessarily be up to date.
Okay.
But what I typically recommend for that is that since you guys are checking those as you put them in, you guys can go into the data and basically say this curb ramp is now a good curb ramp.
Okay.
Or this section of sidewalk is now a good section of sidewalk. Because, sorry.
Hi, so I'm a resident of Berwyn, and I had a question regarding the City of Berwyn Sidewalk Square Replacement Program.
Okay.
Which I think, I'm not really quite sure the intricacies of this program, but if I'm not mistaken, it's something that is available once a year, people can apply for it. I'm wondering, as a concerned citizen regarding ADA compliance, would I be able to designate a survey for the easeway or common walkway area in front of my property and somehow get improvements made based on the program that is going to be proposed?
So we evaluated all the sidewalks. So we will have data on all that sidewalks. As far as the execution of the plan, that's city priorities. So that's something in which that's your conversation with your alderman, your alderwoman. That's however that program is administered. However, so yeah,
I mean, I guess it's not going to be, and then I will just put it out there to all of you,
Well,
the aldermen.
Or just to the doctors or wherever they need to go. One of the things you just sparked a memory, you said pedestrian crosswalk. When they come to an intersection, especially with today's day, I have a couple people with disabilities in my family, one being vision impaired. At a crosswalk, I did notice when traveling that there are some crosswalks that have audible text. Would this be part of the plan, or maybe just like a wish list or something like that, especially in today's day? Well, I'm actually talking to Mike. Especially in today's day, I thought I was closer, so I'm sorry. But in today's day, with people looking at their phones also, I know that has nothing to do with disabilities. But being on the other side, my other job, but while they're looking at their phones, they're not, a lot of them are kids too, walking away from, coming home from school and having that audible noise to let them know that, hey, yes, you're supposed to use your eyes and your ears, what's going on, but that might assist without getting any other youths or adults getting hurt.
Yeah, so the new standard, maybe the past 5 years
Yeah.
or something, is that we have to upgrade the signals to audible, and plus we have to have the extension arms so that you can hit the button standing on the sidewalk. Like the signal post is way over here, it has to be closer so you can access it. So if we do a project, if we touch an intersection, we have to bring it all up to today's standards, which is the audible and the arms. So, but we have to all take it in stride. I mean, upgrading an intersection could be $800,000 in signal improvements. So it's,
You're talking about what's similar at 31st and Oak Park Avenue,
31st,
that upgrade?
34th,
Yeah.
yeah, those were updated as part of the depot project, thankfully with program funds, STP, and that's how we were able to get all that done.
And I think the good news, credit to you guys have done a very good job getting federal and county funds. You know, there's multiple projects that they're not happening tomorrow, but they're coming down the pipeline that I think is gonna help, and I think that's a credit to Nicole, your guys' grant writer of, yeah, you guys are aggressive to go out and get federal funds, and I think it's gonna show. And yeah, the APS signals, so APS is sort of our industry term for those chirping signals, and yeah, they're a part of future projects as they come down the pipeline. Anything else before we move on?
Thank you.
So, completing the self-evaluation. We already talked about this a little bit, but public streets within the public right-of-way, and then inventory current conditions of sidewalks, curb ramps, crosswalks, bus stops, pedestrian traffic signals, etc. Community engagement, we've already done some community engagement. There's an online survey that's been out for 4, 5, 6 months now. Open house, we've had one. There's another one coming up September 25th, PAV YMCA. So this is sort of the first time we're talking about this, and you guys are going to be getting flyers and all that good stuff coming up.
Do we have a time for when that's going to happen?
That is, I believe, 6 to 8. It's on the flyer. Oh, it's not on the flyer. Apologies. Yes, 6 to 8. Sorry, 6 to 8. Yes, 6 to 8, PAV YMCA. Steering committee, we've had, I think, 16 total citizens who have taken part in our steering committee. We've met 4 times now, and pretty much what they are is sort of our first eyes to make sure that we're reflecting Berwyn properly. We've had interested citizens, we've had moms of children with disabilities, we've had special recreation, the park districts have been a part of the steering committee, and they've been a great resource of sort of, okay, this makes sense to us from 10,000 feet, does this make sense on the ground? We've also done, I believe, 9 in-person interviews. So those are with any interested person in the community who just wants to sit down and have a 30, 45 hour long conversation with us about, you know, the challenges that they face around the city. So those have been really eye-opening of just sort of, these are the challenges that they face on a day-to-day basis. Lastly, 30-day public comment period. That will open up once the plan's been fully vetted, reviewed, all that good stuff. But there's a full 30 days for the public to take part in this. So you guys are not approving an ADA transition plan tonight. That'll be at a future council meeting somewhere down the road. After we've finished all the community engagement, we've addressed all the comments, and we have a good, solid plan. Developing the prioritization system. So a big focus of these plans is if we start with the acknowledgement that no city can get compliant overnight, it's how do we identify those sidewalks that truly impact the lives of the citizens? Because sidewalks are a very micro issue. You know, it's you walk on the sidewalks by your house, you walk on the sidewalks to get to the park. And we want to make sure that we're looking at the entirety of the city and not just, okay, commercial districts are the #1 priority, we're just focused on them. So what we did is we created what we call a prioritization map. I'm also going to use the term activity score as we go through this. And then it's the physical condition, and what the ultimate goal at the end is to bring those two together. What we're really trying to do is prioritize those severe barriers to access at those heavily used locations. You know, that sidewalk that you see on the left, I don't remember exactly where that's at in the city, but if that's in front of a school, that's a big deal. If that's on a dead-end street, not to say that it's not important, it's still important, but near the school is a higher priority. Because what we're trying to get here is bang for the buck. We're trying to get that, if this sidewalk is fixed, does it improve the lives of multiple residents? So, elements of the activity score. Well, sort of 2 things that we looked at. #1, what I'll call community assets. It's your schools, it's your bus stops, it's your metro stations, the parks, government buildings, things of that nature. We had a good conversation with Progress CIL, that's your Center for Independent Living. And what we talked about with them was how important the bus stops are. Because if their residents can get to the bus stop, They can get to the Metro, they can get to the L, they can get to the grocery store. You know, schools are obvious. You guys have the most amount of kids I've ever seen walking to school at a community I've worked in. Like, it's November, there's snow on the ground, hundreds of kids walking to school. And we want to make sure that every single kid has the right to walk to school. You know, parks, government buildings, all that makes, it's all things that make sense, but it's important that we represent all of those things in the prioritization. We also took a look at pedestrian safety. Where there's traffic signals, we know that that's going to channelize pedestrians to it. If you're a pedestrian on Cermak, hopefully you're going to the traffic signal to cross there and not crossing at one of the other streets. Not to say that it doesn't happen, I'm not going to tell you that it doesn't happen. But that's our goal, is if that's a good quality sidewalk and good quality curb ramp, hopefully it encourages those behaviors. Crossing guards, where the school has a crossing guard, we want that to be an accessible sidewalk because that's where the students are going. Lastly, the railroad crossings, sort of the same idea there of that's how you can get under the railroad tracks. We want those to be good sidewalks, good curb ramps. And what we have is a series of what we refer to as buffer areas. So this is around Freedom Middle School, and what we say is the closer you are to the school, the higher likelihood there is that a number of children are going to be walking on that sidewalk. And then we do buffers radiating out from there. So, I can take this thing on the road with me. Good deal. So if you look over here, this is a higher priority than this buffer area right here. That's not to say that this isn't a priority, just that in here is a higher priority. So does that make sense to everybody, how we're kind of going about doing that? And we have these circles for the schools, the parks, the crossing guards, the traffic signals. And kind of the way that I like to describe it is what we're almost building is like a series, is like mountain ranges. We're building a topography map in which the higher the mountain, the higher the priority. Because at that point you have 5, 6, 7 buffer areas that are coming together. And what that tells us is we're picking up the park kids, we're picking up the school kids, we're picking up the people that are walking the Metra to go to work, we're picking up the bus stops. We're picking up a wide range of students and citizens and everything else.
Could you possibly add like doctors' offices to that priority zone?
So we do have the hospital on there. We can certainly add doctor's offices.
The reason I say this is because we have tons. I mean, we obviously have McNeil here, but the thing is that a lot of our seniors, you know, they'll park and they'll walk, and
Okay.
you know, just as is important to have a good area for the schools, it would be the same thing for a doctor's office.
Yeah, so for those doctor offices, we could do a fairly tight buffer area around those because it's more that they're parking and then walking to those. Yeah, I mean, and again, that's the reason we're here tonight before we finalize this plan. That's a great idea that honestly hasn't come up yet.
Now, are you saying doctor's offices, are you talking about doctors, dentists, opticians? I mean, would it make more sense to put a buffer around like a medical stretch?
Well, I mean, I understand what you're what you're saying, but I mean, at what point that you're not going to, as a senior or a person that has a vision problem, not going to go see the doctor or not going to go see the dentist, not going to see an optometrist. I mean, all doctors, to me, it's all equal and the same. You know, if it's going to be a small footprint, then make it a small footprint. You know, but that I think is very important because, like I said, to me, you have people with disabilities that might even frequent the hospital more, or the doctor's office more. I mean, just like you have someone that's getting dialysis, they're going to be there 3 times a week. You know, yes, once they get dropped off at the private, once they get dropped off at their door, if it's a city service doing it or the hospital that's doing it or a private ambulance, but someone might walk there themselves. And if it was like a 3-day weekend and it was a holiday and it got pushed to the 4-day weekend, hell, if we have a bad sidewalk, guess what? The person that's on dialysis on that 4th day is not looking good. So that to me is just looking ahead for the concern.
And I think you could prioritize those by, for
example, base it on the hospital,
Yeah,
and then go down to some of the clinics we have, which get a lot of traffic, although parking is generally right on their property. Also to those areas where a lot of the doctors are housed, like on 34th Street. Most of the doctors are in that building there. Parking lots around the back.
yeah.
So you could prioritize that based on the amount of traffic that you see instead of a single dentist office compared to, like that.
No, my question was based on, I didn't want to see, bats all over the city. We're looking for contiguous areas which would be more, give us more points for funding opportunities. So if we did like a chunk where, we have a doctor dentist along this section, make it look like it's a big project.
Yeah, and I think what we can do is for the ones, so we also did commercial strips. Commercial strips is its own standalone. So I think we'll catch a fair amount of the doctors in there, and I think what we can look at, Nicole, is possibly bringing in some like low buffer areas that aren't gonna dominate the map, but they're going to sort of help raise the profile of those. But yeah, so McNeil Hospital, the commercial strips, public health centers, so those are taken into account. But we did not go as far as to be like, okay, this doctor, there's a single practice on this street. It was more, the commercial districts is catching most of those. But I'm also very open if there's areas that you guys know of like, hey, this matters. Like, let me know what matters, I'll take a look at it, and if it's not in there, we can have a conversation. Oh, yes.
A few questions. Does the activity score include ongoing or active construction where that activity would be maybe not there, but not there currently due to the construction?
It does not take construction into account from the idea of like, it assumes that that construction's gonna be over and it's gonna be back to being a
School's still
priority.
there, sort of thing.
Yeah,
Okay.
and then we also, like, whenever we talked to North Berwyn Park District, at that time, the new activity center hadn't opened up. But they told us that it was coming, so we consider that to be an activity score because it's coming, whether it's open today or open 6 months from now, 10 years from now, that's gonna be important to the residents of Berwyn.
Right. And then the second question, there's a lot of emphasis on the schools and the train stops, metro stops. But I love the idea of making those more accessible. These are also BNSF tracks or own tracks. So what has been your experience working with a major freight hauler, right?
Patience.
Okay.
The experience is patience. And I will say, we are putting in this plan, so if it ever comes up as part of future conversation, that the city would love to have an underground pedestrian crossing under the railroad tracks. I'm not saying that it's gonna happen tomorrow. For the camera, it is not gonna happen tomorrow. But if it ever comes up in a conversation, we want it to know that, hey, the city thinks it's a great idea.
Yeah, there's grant opportunities out there as well for such things.
And that's a lot of what's going into this plan is that yes, we're looking at it very much from a data-driven standpoint, but it's also how can this plan support Nicole's future funding pursuits? And whatever we can do to support those funding pursuits is gonna be good for the residents long-term. So yes, we are putting in this plan that it's a great idea to get underground crossing under those railroad tracks. We're not saying where it's gonna be, we're just saying it's a good idea.
Thank you.
Okay, so this is sort of a quick view of what that prioritization map looks like as of now. So if you look at this, the dark blue is the highest priorities, radiating out to the yellow, which is the lowest priorities. And I think the priorities generally make sense. It's that Depot District, it's Cermak, it's up here on 16th Street, it's 26th Street, Ogden, Ridgeland. It's a lot of those areas in the city where you would expect that to be a priority. But there's also some hubs that aren't, they make sense whenever you think about it, but may not scream out. Freedom Park, the elementary school across from Freedom Park is not gonna come to me. But you got a park, you got a school, you got bus stops, that's a priority area that popped up. So yeah, so this is sort of what it looks like today. This is going to change after public comment is over. But it's hard to send this out to public comment unless we have something to talk over. So what this is this is the start of the conversation. Oh, yes, sir.
Oh, are you seeing participation in more South Berwyn, it looks like right now, based on the survey responses and who you've talked to so far?
Yeah, so this is less based on survey responses and more just based on the assets and what's
I
there.
see, okay.
So yeah, the big thing is getting across those BNSF railroad tracks is a priority. And then you got the hospital there, you have the metro stations there, you have commercial districts there. So there's just a lot there that sort of leads to the priority. And then, you know, up in North Berwyn, it's the schools, it's the parks, it's the commercial districts.
Thank you.
Question?
Yeah, is there going to be any projected opportunity for a thoroughfare public walkway that is similar to like the Bloomingdale Trail, where it's like developed with accessibility in mind, and also just emphasizing alternative transportation?
So an
walking?
interesting quirk of the ADA transition plan is the ADA transition plan is very focused on what exists today and bringing into compliance what exists today. It doesn't mean that's not a great idea, but our focus is on the sidewalks and curb ramps that aren't in great shape and what it's gonna mean to bring those up into great shape.
Yeah, I mean, the reason I bring it up is just kind of reflecting off of your comment about the BSNF or like the train tracks that may be, I don't know if they're all active or whatever, but yeah, just thought of that.
No, yeah, I think it's a great thought. I'm not gonna say that it's a bad idea, but for the purpose of this plan, it's very much focused on what exists today and what it's gonna take to bring the current stock up into compliance.
And even with the current stock, like kind of emphasizing that some of those walkways could be highlighted as like pedestrian code.
Okay. Yeah, I think that makes sense, and I think that's gonna be a question for the city staff and the council moving forward of sort of what makes sense. This, you know, the city has a sort of bike walk master plan that exists already at the moment. This is very much intended to work in line with that. Any other questions before I move on? So, physical condition's a little bit easier to describe. Really what it is a sidewalk with a 1/4-inch gap is technically a non-compliant sidewalk. What we're trying to do is identify those sidewalks with a 2-inch gap, because there's a big difference in usability between that 1/4-inch gap and that 2-inch gap. So that's really sort of where we're ultimately getting with this plan, is sort of helping Nicole, the mayor, you know, city staff, identify those parts in the city that are having that true impact on usability. We looked at displacements, so that's the separation of joints. Width of the sidewalk, for the most part, you guys have wide enough sidewalks. There are a couple sections in the city where the sidewalk gets a little bit narrow. And lastly, the cross slope. Driveways are a challenge, because, you know, in order to fix a driveway that's got a steep cross slope, you gotta get into somebody's yard to fix that. That's not a simple solution, but we're gonna call it out because as you guys go after federal funds, it's really important that you guys account for what the cost of bringing that driveway up to compliance is gonna be. Because it's not just as straightforward as rip out 100 feet of sidewalk, put back in 100 feet of sidewalk. It's rip out 100 feet of sidewalk, get an easement to get into somebody's yard to reconstruct 20 feet of driveway.
Would that cost fall on the city, or would you try to say that would be like a 50-50 between the city and the homeowner? Because I guarantee that the
I think what
homeowners.
they're referring to is trying to include that cost in the grant. that
Yeah,
she-
in the grant applications.
Right.
So yeah, so that's making sure that whenever you guys go after federal funds, that you guys are accounting for all that money in the federal funds.
Right.
In like the 50-50 program, honestly, that's probably not gonna be addressed
Yeah.
as part of that 50-50
I'll
program.
tell you to pound sand real quick.
Yeah.
One quick question over here.
Oh,
Does the evaluation incorporate any sort of green infrastructure from like ADA standpoint? I'm not familiar with anything that would be ADA and also incorporate green infrastructure.
So the
but
green
something out there.
infrastructure that is the most, that is talked about the most is pervious pavement, pervious asphalt, pervious concrete. I will tell you that the disability community does not like it. If you ever get a chance to get on a wheelchair on pervious concrete, you feel like you're going down the moguls at the Olympics. Because what makes it work from a pervious standpoint is that it has all these big holes in it. Small wheelchair casters, you're bumping the whole way. So it does exist. There is green infrastructure that is an option. I will say that if you guys are going to pursue that, please involve the disability community to make sure that they have some feedback on that.
Thank you.
So the Missouri Botanical Gardens in St. Louis did a video probably 10 years ago of like a sort of like head cam shot of somebody in a wheelchair going down the pervious sidewalk, and they should put like a seizure warning on it. So yeah, the honest answer is the two just don't work well together.
But I mean, there's options where we could have the sidewalk that drains into some sort of green, best management, like a silver cell.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Trench drain,
Bioswales,
something like that. So there are options, and we just have to be cognizant of.
Yep, so there's silva cells, there's bioswales, it's like a foot deep, like compostable, really soft soil that you can put in the greenways that sort of helps to treat that so the sidewalk doesn't run all the way onto the road. It sort of treats the contaminants before it. So there's options. I just don't recommend doing it on the sidewalk proper. So curb ramps, running slope measured parallel, detectable warning panels. Those bumps are very important. Those bumps are for the blind community so that they know that they're stepping onto somewhere very dangerous. And then lastly, displacements, separation of joints, big deal for everybody. Traffic signals, Nicole already talked about this a little bit. The big thing is the proximity of the push buttons. You want it so somebody in a wheelchair can hit that button. Countdown timers and then the audio vibrotactile clues are going to be part of this solution moving forward. The other thing that we're doing is an on-street parking assessment. Where you guys have on-street parking, what are the accessible regulations that go along with that? I will note for that, there is no trigger to provide accessible parking until you guys start touching the roadway. So this does not mean that you have to go out and add an accessible parking space everywhere in the city overnight. This is more that cue that whenever Nicole does a resurfacing project on a road, that accessible parking needs to be looked at that point. So we are not taking away parking at this moment. It's just a cue for future projects moving down the line. Priority projects. This is not the official priority. I just wanted to give you guys examples of sort of where this plan is going to go. I think a really good one is, I'm going to say it wrong, Proska Park. And if you look at Proska Park now,
It's spelled wrong.
is it really?
It's Proxy.
Ah! Shame.
That's okay.
Okay, I'll do my lashings outside.
Throw the whole plan out.
Fine, I'll start over.
It's a Berwyn sin.
Sleep is optional. So, the city has curb ramps. Proska Park has curb ramps into the park. The two don't match up with each other right now. So again, this is where that ADA plan hopefully is that kickstart for the coordination with the park district of how does the city and the park district work together to provide good accessibility into the park. It's a great park. We want it to be able to be used by everybody. Crosswalks along Oak Park Avenue. This is the crosswalk at the YMCA that has all the signs. There's other streets that could use something similar to that. You can see them on Ridgeland. There's the one there at the YMCA. So a lot of these aren't going to be heavy construction lifts. It could just be as simple as, hey, if you guys put some signs out there, it's going to help alert people. So not everything is you guys have to spend, $100 million on construction. It's also what are the little things that you can start doing today to start improving pedestrian safety. Bus stops along Harlem Avenue. Harlem Avenue is a state route, but the honest answer is per IDOT's interpretation of the laws, the city, has sidewalk obligations. Bus stops are unique, in which you would think you would look at that and think that the curb ramp is the bus stop, but that's not the way bus stops work for people who are in wheelchairs. In order for it to work that people are in wheelchairs, they get on at full height curb, because that's the way the bus lift comes down. So the bus lift is designed to come down on the full height curb. So pretty much all we're looking at to turn that into an accessible bus stop is like 5 sidewalk panels. So you put in 5 sidewalk panels and all of a sudden that bus stop can be used by every resident of the city of Berwyn. Again, a lot of what we're talking about here is not major construction. It doesn't mean that there's not major construction that needs to happen in the city, but that's why you guys go after federal funds. A lot of what we're doing here is what are those little things that you can do that can actually really impact somebody's life. This actually came out of the survey. There's a lot of discussion on 19th and Ridgeland and that crossing at 19th and Ridgeland. Takes you over to the playground and just sort of, there's all those signs up on Ridgeland. Put the exact same sign up further up. It just provides a little bit more warning. And that's really all we're looking to do. So much of pedestrian activity is letting cars know that pedestrians might be there. The other part of it is, and we talked about it with the phones, I'm a big proponent of the idea of an accessible sidewalk is everybody's favorite sidewalk. It's the favorite sidewalk for the person with the disability. It's the favorite sidewalk for the mom with the stroller. It's the favorite sidewalk for the person who likes to look at his phone because then they don't have to look down for cracks. So really what improving the sidewalks does is that it's about improving the quality of life for Berwyn residents. And we are not here to tell you that you have to do it overnight. We are here to hopefully provide some guidance so you guys can continue to do what you're already doing. Final product, at the end of the day, everything goes to you guys. We already talked about this a little bit. We hand everything over to city staff. And what it's going to kind of look like is this is not final, but what Nicole's going to get is the curb ramps that are in red are what the plan is saying are the highest priority. Curb ramps that are in blue, we're saying no significant barriers. It doesn't mean there's not going to be a barrier 10 years from now, but there's not a barrier today. And it doesn't mean that all the red curb ramps get fixed overnight. But what it means is that it's a tool to help your guys' engineering department moving forward. Next steps, as we already mentioned, 30-day public comment period. Public meeting September 25th, 6 to 8, PAV YMCA. A big part of wrapping this up is providing resources to the ADA coordinator of just sort of, hey, what questions do you have for us? Like, we are here to listen. We're here to help you out however you need. If you feel like you're fully prepared and you don't need our help, great, we won't help. But if there's any question you've ever had, we are here to answer that question. Between OATS and CMAP, we're really just here to help.
What time is this public hearing on the talks about September 25th?
6 to 8.
Thank you very much.
6 to 8 p.m. Establish the schedule and budget for the plan. We are not going to say you guys have to spend X million dollars next year. What we're going to say is the level of effort required to complete the plan, and then as a council, it's ultimately up to you guys as to how that money gets. What federal funds can you go after? What county funds are available? What the options are. All we're doing is just sort of giving you the order of magnitude so you guys can start having those conversations. All data goes to city staff, and at the end of the day, I'm going to be back up here talking to you guys again once the plan's finalized. So we are available for questions. They can be questions today. Inevitably, you're going to wake up tomorrow and think, why did I ask that question of the guy who talks so fast and I was tired of hearing him talk? So email me questions, email Vicky questions. Ultimately, this plan is only as good as the residents make it. And it's only as good as you guys help us make it. So please encourage the residents to take part. Please encourage them to ask questions. Please encourage them to sort of tell us what we're missing. I will never know your community as well as you guys know your community. I've spent a lot of time here. You guys have spent most of your life here. So provide that feedback. It's appreciated, it's wanted, and it really does make the plan better at the end of the day. After my big dramatic spiel, any final questions before we call it?
I have
only one question, and really not in your expertise. Our problem, I think, is gonna be in the next few years. We are a welcoming city, and we intend to stay a welcoming city. Is that gonna cut off our federal funding for any projects such as complying with the ADA? I know you may not be able to answer that, but that's a big concern I have.
Vicky, I will hand that over to you, if that's fine with you.
Well, so you think that not being ADA compliant would put you at risk for,
No, I think that being a welcoming city is gonna put us at risk in receiving federal funds to comply with the ADA plan,
I see.
at least for the next few years until things change in Washington.
So what I will say, is that we are all learning as we go, and we are receiving, letters from federal staff on programs. Generally speaking, projects that relate to improving travel safety are moving forward.
Good, thank you.
So when projects are framed as helping people with mobility and safety, we are seeing positive signs. So I would say that's less of a
That's
concern
comforting,
now.
thank
Yes.
you.
I think I saw another hand up.
Yeah, in terms of the grants available, what have you seen in terms of maybe total addressable grants that we could apply for as a city, or Nicole in this case, or as a city? Is that $50 million? What's the likelihood of getting those?
I mean, honestly, you guys have done awesome at getting grant money. You guys, there's currently 5 or 6 different projects in various stages of federal grant money. I don't remember what the exact number is.
16, 26, Bridge 1, 4th Street,
East.
East Avenue, some green infrastructure type improvements.
That keeps Nicole up at nights because she researches that all the time, let me tell you.
Mm-hmm. No, I think we've done a great job. So
Yeah.
like keeping that up with the plan that, we might budget $100 million over the next 30 years.
Yeah.
And understanding, okay, where are we gonna get all of that money
Yeah,
from,
and
right?
what will be in the plan is there's some streets that are available for federal money. There's other streets that honestly are just never gonna get federal money. A lot of federal money is built around functionally classified roadways. So those are arterial and collector roads. And then there's also safe routes to school money that exist around schools. So there's some streets in Berwyn that honestly are just never gonna be eligible for federal funds. But there's other streets in Berwyn that make perfect sense to pursue federal funds. And that'll be in the plan of sort of, these are the streets in which we think that you guys can, if you guys have a good grant application, can get federal funds for. Yes.
So, and I apologize if you said this already, but I assume having a finalized transition plan then makes us eligible for said federal funding, et cetera.
Eligible and gives us a higher score.
Okay,
We have to have plans for whether it's ADA, stormwater management, walking, biking, whatever. You have to have an adopted plan so you can secure these funds.
and then is there also a higher grade given to shovel-ready projects where we've got it in the hopper ready to roll? Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and a lot of this is sort of the perspective of if it's important to the community, it scores better. That's kind of the easiest way to think about it. And by doing these plans, what you're saying is that this matters to us, so that whenever you take it to, the scores, they say, okay, like they've thought about this for a long time. Like this means something. It's been part of the public review process. All that matters.
Question for you. I know that you said generally the plan is sticking to talking about, what's already in the infrastructure and improving that, and generally it stays away from any changes to the roadway. I guess I'm just curious in kind of the interest of accessibility and, making sidewalks, improving that for pedestrians and that kind of thing. Are like raised intersections going to be something that's incorporated or included as part of the plan, or is that something that would be outside that purview?
So we will not recommend putting those in, but what we will do is sort of cite those as potential options that exist. Your raised crosswalks, your bump outs, because putting those in is a lot more than just accessibility. That's coordination with the snowplows. You know, the biggest challenge with raised crosswalks is you gotta make sure that the snowplows aren't gonna take them out.
Well, plus speed humps, raised crosswalks, everything like that, they're designed for the largest vehicle that's gonna traverse that and slow it down the most. That's your fire engines, that's your ambulances, your school buses. Go over a speed hump, you can still do 25. But, you know, if somebody's house is on fire or they're having a heart attack, you don't want those emergency vehicles slowed down.
Yeah, so it's gonna be cited as options that exist, but there's a lot more that goes into it before one of those gets put in. You know, that's a very serious, specific study that needs to happen in regards to that.
I can speak on behalf of one street that they put it in Cicero.
It's why, I'm sorry.
I said one street was, they put 4 speed bumps in, and it added about at least 90 seconds to our response time with our responder vehicles. I mean, it literally dramatically slowed us down. I mean, God bless you.
Well, I know that Alderman Bone and I, around that 19th and the Mercado Park that you brought up on, we talked about a raised crosswalk. But that's what you're saying is, so we have to come up with something for that then.
Yeah. Yeah, and I
'Cause
put
that is
together.
a rough intersection.
Yeah, and I put together a proposal for some community development funding, and also shared it with state senator too. So hopefully we can take a look at that even more. But it's good to know with the bump outs too. I had questions about that because even on Ridgeland right now, there's a lot of challenges with folks parking where the buses are supposed to be stopping
Yeah.
in yellow areas. And so thinking about things like bump outs or other infrastructure strategies to like deter that so the buses can actually get there so that folks on wheelchairs can access the bus as well, even with those tiles being put there.
Yeah.
And I
Just
think
things
that's
that are
part
popping
of
in my
what
head.
Nicole is working with the transportation system with respect to that, for the buses and
Yeah.
stuff.
Oh, you're fine? Yeah, and again,
I had a meeting with the county last week, and they provided some improvements for the areas of Richland that are underneath their jurisdiction. It's under review, so I can't say too much, but I'm on it. If you can keep me posted on any transportation funding things that you guys are pursuing, I really need to know this.
That's a question for Nicole, actually. Like, how can us as a council and the city help you, whether it be from a grant perspective, finding them or suggesting them? If you know all of them, that's perfectly fine. But how can we support you in some of these initiatives?
Well, if I'm, so a big element is also, the public outreach. So if you want to talk about a certain type of improvement that a grant opportunity is open for, get the word out, have a meeting, get some comments from the public, that would be great. Letters of support, whether it's from an older person or from a business, park district, things of that sort. And so when I'm looking for those things, I do reach out. But yeah, I mean, if you want to start developing a template.
Yeah, and I have one from that proposal, so I can share it with other people on council.
Yeah, good. Thank you.
I also, CMAP also recently completed a regional safety action plan, which really corresponds to pedestrian and bicyclist safety along with motoring safety. The Cook County Safety Action Plan was adopted by our MPO Policy Committee in May, so it's fresh. It's brand new, and Nicole was involved with the steering committee for the Cook County Safety Action Plan, and that qualifies Berwyn for transportation safety dollars through the Safe Streets for All program at the U.S. Department of Transportation, which is expected to open next spring. So as you think about safety projects, I encourage you to look at CMAP's website and access the Cook County Safety Action Plan, and keep an eye out for federal opportunities next spring related to safety.
Yeah, and that
don't see Claudia, but I wanted to ask you, Mayor, are we
Oh,
gonna
she just
be,
left out.
are we gonna be, I know you're asking for our support and getting the word out, you know, so we can get more community input. Are we gonna be sharing this with the school districts too? Just because those are the families that are gonna be, you know, walking
Well,
around those areas where they already have.
including the school districts with respect and whatever information we have to pass on to get them involved, sure.
Yeah, just in terms of like, if there's, you know, ways to give input, just
Yeah,
sending it
what
out
we usually
digitally.
do is when you want input from the parents, from a school district or school district officials, we will send them a notice, that it's on here, look at it here.
Right.
And a lot of schools will put notes in their kids' backpacks
Yeah.
to bring them home.
Exactly.
If it's for a parents thing, yeah.
Yeah, they have like the digital newsletters and stuff too, yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say, we've reached out to the school district, park districts, I don't know, 4, 5, 6 times at this point.
Okay.
So yeah, they're certainly on our email list of like, hey, whatever you can do to help us get the word out, help us out.
Right. Anything else? Any other questions? Folks, anything else?
I'm all good.
Thanks,
Nicole?
Matt.
Well, thank you all for coming. Thank you for helping us with this. I have nothing else for the committee of the whole. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Malasek by Leisure. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you.
Thank you. You want me to turn the microphone off?
Oh, wow.
You got everybody in school now? Or?
Yes.
Nice, huh?
It's so nice.
Yeah, right.
On Monday and Friday.
Okay, so
Yeah.
you're quiet, huh?
Couple days, yeah.
Good.
Enjoyed that.
Good.
How's your
Enjoy.
daughter like college? Where'd she go?
Important.
Okay, nice.
She ended up over there.
Yeah.
She had to review in a bunch of schools. So
Yeah.
Second year already. It's like, wow, that went fast.
Wow. What's she studying?
Welding, you want to believe it?
Wow.
She had 2 years of welding in high school.
Yeah.
She had a real welding in college right now. She's
Wow.
finishing up her certificates and then going to get a 2-year degree. And, she's already put in for some apprenticeship. She's doing it like $45 an hour.
I'm aware. I've been getting them on
And
my.
she's 19.
Yeah, I've been having them pop up. I'm like,
So
I
I'm
need
like-
to change my profession.
I'm like, okay.
That's great.
It's wild, yeah. So I'm like, at first I'm like, what are you doing? She
Yeah.
was like 100 pounds, like, welder, what are you nuts?
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, women in the trade, it's
Yeah.
not a bad idea.
She enjoys it.
She seems to love it. But
Wow.
interesting, huh?
Does she have like a specialty that she wants to do?
No,
or?
I don't know. I think
You know,
she-
they have all the
I
deep
think-
sea welders
No,
and the
yeah,
ones who
those
go
don't
on
live
oil
long. Those don't
rigs
live
and.
long, so.
Okay.
But she wants to maybe get into inspections.
Okay.
But you need all the certificates.
Yeah.
And you have to actually do it. to
Right.
understand it.
Right.
So,
Wow.
good to
That's
see you.
awesome. Yeah.
Not too much tonight, so.
Yeah. Be quick. In and out.
Unless we have some talkers.
It happens. Got flags.
We did get flags. That's cool.
Pretty cool.
Who gave them?
I don't know.
But the people in the front row also had flags. So whoever those front row people are.
This is very interesting, and I like it. The presentation and
Yeah.
just the plan in general, and I'm really kind of excited that we're forward on that.
Mm-hmm.
Good.
That's good stuff.
Yeah. CMAP does great work. And I'm sorry I'll miss this lantern parade too.
When is that?
Fourth.
Fourth.
This is a really. Oh, Jane Cernak made this picture. Don't let it poke me in the eye, please. I'd like to have both eyes here. I arrived with two, but I'd like to leave with three. And also you do too. Well, there's one on the floor and then vomit.
Clerk Garcia would call the council meeting to order, please.
Good evening. Caldwell,
Here.
Bowman,
Here.
Leja,
Here.
Bates,
Here.
Pabon,
Here.
Palashak,
Here.
Bruckman,
Here.
Carmichael.
Here.
8 ayes, Mayor.
Can we please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance and please remain standing? I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible,
please keep in our thoughts and prayers all the men and women we have on the street tonight. Thank you. If anybody wishes to address the open forum, please step forward to the podium. State your name and address, please.
Hello, my name is Jane Siernick. I live at 6747 Riverside Drive, and I'm a volunteer board member and secretary for the Berwyn Public Art Initiative. I'm here to invite you all to our inaugural Lantern Parade taking place within Proxa Park, October 4th, from 6 to 8. This is an evening to celebrate Berwyn's creativity and an opportunity to participate in civic play. We ask that everyone bring a lantern that is battery operated and non-flying. Otherwise, the sky is the limit, from a twig with string lights to a giant puppet lantern. We have hosted free workshops throughout Berwyn, and we'll have a table at the Fairy Tale Ball where you can also make lanterns there. But you don't have to have gone to a workshop to attend. Come join us for live music and show off your lantern at this community event. All are welcome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Just for demonstration, some Thank you, John. I'm Sabina Kraus. I live at 6949 30th Place. I'm here as the president of the Berwyn Public Arts Initiative. I'm with Jane on the board. And I second Lantern Parade. It's going to be awesome fun. Please come out. And anyone that's already supported us, thank you so much. Bowman, Leja, Brockman, Carmichael, and I think there might be some checks in the mail. But I'm also here because last year, towards the end of the year, I think, Scott Lennon reached out to one of our board members and informed us that the parking lot might get paved or repaved sometime this year. And a few years ago, we had put the in Berwyn Black Lives Matters mural onto the ground, and we knew that it was going to be, more temporary since it's on the asphalt. And so when we heard that, we were creating a panel of the project that basically shows the mural, how it was created originally, with all the information about the project and the artists that participated in it. And I just wanted to reach out, show this to you, and see who I can work with to get that installed outside somewhere. I don't know if the wooden display that previously held a poster just like this, but it's been faded since then, if that one is going to stay out there, and if we can get this installed on top of that.
Give it to Claudia for now, and then we'll have Rob look at it, the facilities guy, see where we can put it up out there. So but let Claudia have it now, and then we'll figure out where
Okay, I'll talk to Claudia. Okay, cool. Thank you so much.
Hello, my name is Tim Swanson. I am in the 3rd Ward on Riverside Drive, and I just wanted to speak to you today to ask that the mayor and the council do more in relation to ICE activity in our city. I know that federal mandates can supersede state and local rule, but there's still more that this body could be doing. I would love to see Berwyn use its emergency alert system to frequently inform residents about the latest known ICE agent locations and information. But at a bare minimum, if we don't want to go that far, the emergency alert system could certainly be used to share basic know your rights information with all residents. I think that this is especially important right now after the Supreme Court has just ruled that ICE agents can harass individuals based on the color of their skin or an accent while speaking. Another thing that's very much in the city's control is suspending traffic and seatbelt checkpoints. I don't think we need to needlessly concern residents with anything extra related to stops on the street, given everything going on right now. I would also ask that each individual member of this body loudly and frequently post know your rights information and resources on social media, but not to just stop with social media and online activity. We need real-world offline action too. I don't have the answers for what all of that might entail, but this is a group of smart individuals, I'm sure. If you thought about it, you could figure out ways you could help the community. Another topic similarly related to ICE activity is the presence of Berwyn Police Force at the Broadview ICE facility recently, and the exposure to the public offline and through social media from that event. I understand the official statement of the Berwyn PD was responding to a request from the Broadview PD, but I believe it was a mistake to send our police force to support. There was no emergency or risk of emergency. There have been weekly and sometimes even daily protests at that facility for months now. So this isn't a new thing. It has never gotten out of hand. There have never been any emergencies, nor property damage, nor harm to individuals. This honestly shows an embarrassing lack of preparation and due diligence in understanding the situation before sending our police force into another jurisdiction. The presence of Berwyn at Broadview made the department look bad, and honestly I think it made the city look bad. There were videos posted online where even with police presence, protesters were able to turn back ICE trucks, ICE vans, and force them to turn around and go away. In these videos, you can see Berwyn police cars. So it's mind-boggling that there are Berwyn police presence at this event, yet it seemed the protesters were the one in charge. Putting that kind of impotence on display on social media, in videos, makes us all look bad, and honestly it drags the city's name down through such an ill-advised operation. Finally, Broadview and Berwyn do not share a border. There are plenty of other municipalities closer to Broadview that could have answered the call if it were a valid need, but it seems like we were some of the only people to fall for their call. I would strongly encouraging the authorizing bodies and individuals to think before rushing out to play dress up with ICE agents, think before acting in order to save the city some embarrassment, but also, and more importantly, consider what the residents of this city want. Tax dollars fund all of this. And it is a shame that this is how our hard-earned money is being spent. I think we should let Broadview handle Broadview and not fall for this nonsense again. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Tina Robertson. I'm also in the 3rd Ward, and I'm just tagging on basically to what he said. I'm really just reiterating, people are really scared right now and nervous, scared to leave their houses. People see a truck, people see an SUV, they maybe think it's ICE, you know, they're really scared. So anything we can do to kind of alleviate some of that, if we could put a temporary suspension on checkpoints. We have some examples we can provide that we were discussing that of Waukegan, which is a police department that did this, put a suspension maybe for 2 months or something. Just something, you know, and like we said, just, you know, maybe try to provide more information. You know, people also want to help people. You know, people I think in the community are interested in maybe being engaged in helping people to share information and protect each other right now. Because I think we're all aware, you know, this isn't just, oh, they're going after criminals. That's not what's happening. They're grabbing people off the street. They're grabbing people based on speaking Spanish, which, I mean, come on, where do we live right now? Like, you know, you can walk around and see people speaking Spanish, and it's great. And yeah, so that's just something I wanted to say. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, everybody. My name is Domingo Ramirez. I'm a 4th Ward resident. I oppose using our police department for any ICE activity. You're not public safety. You're providing security for ICE. Mr. Rivera, I'm almost offended by you having a Mexican flag in front of you, a Mexican American and me. You never showed no love since I lived here, since you were mayor, to the Mexican community, the Latin community. You allow these fundraisers disguised as seatbelt checks. It's been going on for over 20 years. When I first started speaking, I came to Bob. I said, Bob, what's up with this gray unmarked officer detective car pulling over Mexican people, brown people, 3 or 4 times a week? Father going to jail, mother crying, kids crying. I've seen that for years. That's why I started speaking up, Bob. And that's why I said, if you want to be a cop in Berwyn, you should live in Berwyn. My view changed as you get older on that. I said, you want to continue to have these, that where 95 to 100% of the people being ticketed are Mexican, Latino people here. I'm offended by that, Rivero. That's why the only time I speak up is because I feel so passionate about that. And you have done nothing, because last year you collected $2 million from tickets and fines. The year before, $2.5 million. I told you before, if it ain't racism, profiling, it ain't public safety. If it ain't racism or profiling, give that money generated from that back into our community. Give back to our community. You're in our pockets all the time. There's no, sensible budget here. You give a damn about a budget. They come over here asking for money, at least let them explain what they need it for. I was here at the end of last year, and they were here wanting to explain what they needed $750,000 for, and you said, don't worry about it. We, the people, want to know why. We wanted to hear their explanation. There's nothing wrong with insight about why they needed $750 of taxpayer money. I support our first responders 100%, but they got to be oversight. There's no code of conduct here in Berwyn. Anybody who works for Berwyn, you disrespect any resident, anybody, you don't treat them with dignity and respect, they should be fired. If there was a code of conduct, a lot of things wouldn't happen. Tree trimming guy we get sued. We paid over $120,000 for his lawsuit. I don't know how much we paid for the lawyers involved. All he wanted was you to say sorry and let her go. And you said we take care of this in-house. I know for a fact, I talked to a civil rights attorney. I dealt with stuff 20 years ago, racial discrimination. So I talked to attorneys. Any company doesn't have to have a reason to let you go, as long as it ain't racism, discrimination, or retaliation. You could have let her go. It's not about union this or union that. I'm a proud union member. You know what I mean? You should have let her go. You should have showed the people that you don't tolerate racism. Racism has no home here in Berwyn. Discrimination of any kind. Start showing the people that you don't stand with that. You allow these seatbelt checks to happen. Put that money back into the community if it ain't racism or profiling. And I want to reiterate, I stand with my Mexican community, 100% in all Latinos. Show some love to your Latin community, 65% Hispanics here. That's all I got to say, guys.
Thank you.
Good evening. I know most of you. I'm a former trustee from the township, from the township down the street on 26 and East Avenue. And the reason why I'm here today is same reason as everyone else. There's definitely a concern. I am no longer an elected official, but I still get phone calls from constituents regarding their safety, their worry. They're making letters, trying to figure out who are they going to leave their children with, what's going to happen with their properties. If you've been here since 2008, you'll know that a lot of Latinos bought properties here in 2008, 2009. Pretty much the Latino community saved Berwyn when every home was being repossessed thanks to the recession then. So that being said, I would like to know, where are our leaders? What are you doing to make sure that we're safe? What are you doing to make sure that our kids are walking safely from morning to their home, from freedom to their home? If there's an ICE check on Richland and Ogden, who's gonna get warned? The parents? The teachers? How are the police gonna react to that? It's violence? So yeah, there's a lot of concern. And what is most concerning is that I'm getting called. I'm not an elected official. You are. Are you getting the same calls from your residents? Are you talking back to them? Do you have solutions? Do we have legal assistance to help? What are we providing? I want to hear from every single elected official, what are you doing? Because it is thanks to everyone voting here that you're there. So when you hear the people talk, listen, because we're listening every single day. Elections are coming up, your paychecks are coming up. You have a responsibility to us, to our kids, to our families, our friends, documented or undocumented. We're paying taxes, we're residents, we're your neighbors, we're your friends, and we're your family. Most households have mixed status members, and it is hard and it's heartbreaking to see them. I should not be getting calls from residents. I should not be getting calls from anyone. It should be you guys. I'm not an elected official anymore. I have no way to help. I don't have the funding. I don't have the money. I don't have the resources. You do. Step up to the plate. That's all I'm asking. You chose to be in that chair. You chose to be in that position. Step up to that plate. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, I'm Nicolette Peniranda. I'm a First Ward resident. Shout out to my alderman. And also congratulations on passing your first legislation or presenting it. Yeah, right? I do want to celebrate some really cool things that I think Berwyn is doing, like the new rat abatement program. I think that's really great. Alderman Carmichael had introduced that to a number of residents, and I'm really excited to see that happen. I also want to shout out Alderman Bowman because he pulled up when everything was happening in D98 the other day. And I think that was really just beautiful leadership and just showing up and being able to like have the information and being willing to be on the ground. Like, thank you so much for that. Which is, but what everyone else is saying, my daughter's in D100. My daughter's best friends are all in D98. I've talked to the districts, or at least I should say board members for each district about what type of policy, what type of protocols being put into place. How are we going to make sure that our students not only remain safe, but parents and families continue to be safe during this time? I'm really glad to hear that they're thinking about it. They're working through different policies and plans in place. I'm curious how the city of Berwyn is going to also support our school districts in making sure that like our kids remain safe. But in addition to that, I also want to just say boo to Berwyn for allowing for our police to be in Broadview the other day. Like, that's absolutely ridiculous. We are a sanctuary city, and if there is something that I've learned by living in Berwyn is how spread out our families are. Whether or not that they're like a bunch of different residents all over Berwyn, Cicero, but all these neighboring areas, right? And so the fact that we would be willing to even have our police present there, it's still disrupting our families and our communities, and it's not right. What's happening right now, we've all already said it, it's scary, it's terrifying. Like, people are uneasy, people are suffering in different ways, right? Folks are afraid to like leave their homes, folks don't know who to call, and allowing for our police to be present in situations like that, allowing for us to continue to have checkpoints during this time where for a lot of people it feels really hostile. Like, that is absolutely ridiculous. I need to see Berwyn do something different. We need to be on the side of the people in the community. And just as many folks have already said, like, I would love to see us working on more know your rights trainings that are happening across Berwyn to make sure that those things are publicly accessible, to be allowing for our public spaces or our government spaces to be used for groups to be able to do that, allowing for printing options, something that shows that the city of Berwyn cares about what's happening to its residents and the residents' neighbors and families, because it's not just like, oh, we pay taxes here, but like, we're a community. There is no community like Berwyn, and like the behavior we're doing right now, that's very Cicero. Like, we don't need to live like that. And so I just want to elevate exactly what everyone else is saying, is that we need to do better, and I would like to see us do better, and to make sure that like our people feel equipped, resourced, and that the folks that we have elected to be in position feel that responsibility to the people to make sure that they remain safe. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Kayla. We own in the 7th Ward. I want to echo a lot of what has already been said from a slightly different perspective. So as Nick already mentioned, Friday we had an incident at Lincoln Middle School. One elected show up. Thanks, Josh. No one else was around to kind of help us out with what was going on. We have a wonderful rapid response team in Berwyn that also collaborates across Cicero. On Friday, on such short notice, people were able to get out to every single D98 school. These are rapid response members. These are volunteers that are doing this for free. They had no help, and they were still able to cover every single school. Today, we witnessed 3 people getting chased on Cicero and Ogden, the town next to us. One was captured, thrown into a vehicle. His car was left, the windows open, in the parking lot. So it really enrages me to see Berwyn PD out in Broadview. If many of you have not attended a session in Broadview, I invite you to go see it for yourself. There are clergy members there. The activists in these areas reserve a lot of that space for clergy members. These are, by and large, peaceful protests. They're peaceful demonstrations, because let's stop calling them protests. They're demonstrations protests carry a negative connotation. Secondly, we do have, as many have echoed, that emergency response system. Why haven't we used that? Why haven't we sent out Know Your Rights information? We are I think we are the most densely populated city in the state of Illinois. That's largely led by our Latina residents, mixed status families. Why aren't we doing more at the city level with passing out more Know Your Rights information? And I also want to ask you all to please stop inviting such public figures to our communities. Well, we agree, we all love Governor Pritzker, but that, in my humble opinion, puts an even bigger target on our backs, because those reports at Lincoln and those sightings at Lincoln came one day after there was a very public press conference at one of our elementary schools. We don't need more surveillance in Berwyn. We don't need more risk. We don't need more fear. I also want to echo what people have said about the checkpoints. Waukegan Police put out an entire press release stating how they are going to suspend checkpoints until further notice. So why do we still do them? In general, why do we do them, right? I know they're economically favorable, but overall, given the times that we are living in, that our people are living in, why are we still conducting these seatbelt checks? You have, again, I'm going to reiterate, a wonderful rapid response team in Berwyn and Cicero. Please do more, all of you, by way of showing up for your community members, for the organizations that are already on the ground doing this work, and it goes beyond social media posts. You know what to do. Alderman Bowman did it. It's not that hard. Come out, put your walking shoes on, help us canvass. There will be opportunities for elected officials and the community to join us to flyer and pass out Know Your Rights information all over Berwyn and Cicero, but let's focus on Berwyn here, right, since this is Berwyn. I encourage you all to come get to know the community. At a time when national trust is at an all-time low, isn't it in the city's best interest to maintain the relationships in our city? Not only that, but to enforce them and kind of reinforce them and make them stronger. I want you to think about all of that. And I also want you to act on it. I see you taking notes. Thank you for paying attention. But I want to see some action out of it as well. We all elected you. We all pay your salaries. I don't know. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm a little nervous, forgive me. We're here on a different note, although we agree and stand with our neighbors here. We agree with everything that's been said, but we're here on a different note for another neighbor of ours. My name is Josephine Gutierrez. I live at 3832 Home Avenue, and we're here about an ADA residential parking space for a neighbor of ours that we feel is a necessity instead of a want. So our neighbors and I feel that a residential parking space is needed at 3834 Home Avenue. Most of our neighbors agreed to this by giving a signature on our petition for the installation of an ADA compliant residential parking space at 3834 Avenue for Juanita Fernandez. We feel this parking space is necessary to provide safe and accessible parking in close proximity to her residence due to a permanent disability. Juanita Fernandez, a resident at 3834 Home Avenue, not only has a permanent disability, but it is a terminal one. She's been here 25 plus years. She's a very good resident, a very good neighbor. Love has nothing to do with it, but we do love her. That terminal illness that she has, it limits her mobility. I'm a little nervous, forgive me, this is my first time doing this, but it limits her mobility and ability to walk long distances. The absence of an accessible parking space near her home presents a significant barrier to her daily life, including accessing her home, medical appointments, and essential services in her daily routine. The lack of access parking violates the life and spirit of the Americans with Disability Act, the ADA, which is intended to ensure equal access for all individuals. Requiring a person with a permanent disability to walk or travel long distances from a distant parking space creates a safety risk, not just for her, anyone else asking for this. especially during severe weather and/or at night. People want to say like, oh, they have garages, they have this, they have that, but at night she can't see back there. It's very dark in our alley. You know, this is unsafe for her. Our neighbors support this request to create a more inclusive and accessible community for all residents, including, but not limited to, Juanita Fernandez. All of our neighbors urge you all to review the enclosed application and take swift actions to install a property marked reserved parking space for her. We are supposed to be one inclusive community and welcoming to all. So let's show our community that we respect and care for everyone, including what's happening here today with everyone who spoke. We are in agreement with that as well. But we have signatures and we have anything else that you need. We have everything here. Our people signed it and they're in agreement with us and
Would you
they're all
give those-
watching and they tuned in.
Would you give those to the clerk, please?
Sure.
Here.
What do you want me to do with this one?
Yeah, these are the original signatures with addresses, and this is the printed out letter.
Thank you for doing this.
Thank you, Jessica. I'll be in touch.
Thank you.
Luz Chavez, 16th and Ridgeland. So what I'm going to say repeats a lot of what folks said, but I think it's important to hear it multiple times and hopefully learn from it, right, through repetition. So right now our community is terrified by the way our neighbors are being kidnapped by masked men who refuse to identify themselves and who are driving unmarked cars. Trump has sent even more federal agents to our area, and now there are also right-wing agitators accompanying ICE and trying to provoke rapid response members so that they have a scapegoat for sending the National Guard. Today, there were several ICE sightings in Cicero, and at least 2 people were kidnapped. The Berwyn Cicero Rapid Response Team, many of whom spoke up tonight, responded to all the sightings today, and it was a very heavy, very overwhelming day, and I am in deep gratitude for all the community members who step up, roll up their sleeves and put into work and make the time to do it. Many of our immigrant neighbors are living in fear, scared to even leave their homes or go to work. I got a call from all the way from Elgin about a young man in Berwyn, a young queer man in Berwyn, immigrant, undocumented, who has been terrified to leave his house for any reason. So, you know, we were able to get him hooked up with some resources. At the beginning of this year, we were in a similar situation. And honestly, I like the question Tomasa asked, you know, what are you all doing? Because earlier this year, in that moment that was similar to now, I didn't see you all doing much of anything that's tangible to protect our community. So now that we're even in a worse moment, I ask you again, what are you really tangibly doing? What are you doing that can be seen as having an impact on our community? Mayor Lavero and Chief Smaglia is not here. Instead of meeting this moment with humanity and leadership, it's unfortunate that you are doing the opposite. As you have done in the past, you continue to stand on the wrong side of history. Last Friday, you allowed Chief Smaglia to send Berwyn PD to Broadview's ICE facility. Now, every Friday morning for the last 15 years, clergy and people of faith have been gathering to sing and pray and ask for the release of their neighbors detained. The facility is meant to hold someone for hours, not days. Many of you, I hope, would know that back a few years ago, immigration detention centers were actually banned in the state of Illinois. And the Broadview Processing Center is now being used as a temporary detention center, which is against the Illinois Way Forward Act. The facility is meant to hold someone for hours, not days, yet ICE has been terrorizing and kidnapping so many of our neighbors that now they're holding on to them for days, even though Broadview has no beds, no showers, no kitchen. Folks are sleeping on the floor with very little food. These are inhumane conditions, and having the facility act as a temporary detention center is a violation, like I said. So more neighbors are calling to shut down the facility. And at last Friday's protest, you had a choice, and you made the choice to send PD. You could have said, no, Berwyn is a welcoming city, and we are not going to go to another city just to make things easy for ICE. You could have told them to go waste another city's resources. Go ask somebody else. But you didn't. Protesters have complained that Broadview PD has been assisting ICE, so by sending Berwyn PD to Broadview, you've been assisting ICE by proxy. You released the weakest statement, and the Berwyn Police Department released the weakest statement saying that they did it for public safety, which is complete BS. I'll never forget, back in 2020, the images, because I was here with many of my neighbors and allies, seeing police holding long rifles on the roof of this building during a BLM rally held here. You had long rifles overseeing strollers. That's a decision you made and your chief made. You enraged constituents so much that they all showed up here at the next council meeting and went off on what a violation of trust that was, on how that militarization of a peaceful protest showed what little respect you had for your constituents. So I do not believe you, Chief Somaglia, or anyone else who tries saying that you sent police to protect free speech and peaceful assembly. That's just BS. Your actions show otherwise. So while you and Somaglia were wasting resources, many of you told you what Waukegan PD did. And so I want to read their very short statement, short but powerful. The Waukegan Police Department is temporarily suspending our safety checks to prevent any confusion with immigration operations. We are taking this step out of an abundance of caution and to maintain the trust and safety of our community. Our mission is to protect and serve all residents of Waukegan, and we want our community to be confident that our officers are here for their safety, not for immigration enforcement. That is the leadership that we need in this moment. That is something tangible to meet this moment, that protects our community in these devastating times. And so I'm echoing what others have asked for, which is to suspend the 3 checkpoints, because now there's 3, 15th in Ridgeland, 26th in Clinton, 24th in Ridgeland, for at the very least 2 months while increased ICE activity hits the Chicagoland area. And also please stop sending Berwyn PD to Broadview. They don't need our help. We don't need our resources wasted. I want to thank Sabine for bringing up the idea of having a framed image of the BLM mural. It says Black Lives Matter in Berwyn. And I asked myself, I've been asking myself, does it in the last 2 years? Because in the last 2 years, you have not been, you continue to not address issues Black folks have brought up. And you've even gone to the extreme that you don't even celebrate, you don't even acknowledge Black History Month anymore. You barely started acknowledging it in 2021. You did it for 3 years, 2021, 22, 23. You stopped in 2024 and 2025. Again, you did not even acknowledge it. Tonight you're gonna do a proclamation honoring Hispanic Heritage Month. What's the deal? You care more about some cultures more than others? I mean, and people could bemoan and everything, but it's absolutely horrible that after all the experiences of racism that Black folks have had in Berwyn and have packed this chamber to talk to you about, you do something as outrageous as ignore such a simple acknowledgement of Black History Month. That's all I'm going to say.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor Lovero, aldermen, and members of the City Council. My name is Clarissa Ortiz. On behalf of RE/MAX Partners, I want to thank you for supporting our free community event, the Hispanic Heritage Month and Summerfest. A huge thank you to Mayor Robert Lovero and the City of Berwyn, Alderman Teddy Palashik for helping our Latino community celebrate with so much pride and love. And a special thanks to Alderman Palashik for being with us from start to finish that day. I also want to thank the Berwyn Development Corporation, Claudia, Ruth, Janice, and Fabiola for their support, as well as the Berwyn Police and Fire Department for keeping everything safe. Officer Mike Loretto even brought the fire truck, which made so many kids smile. This was truly a free celebration for the whole community. It brought out together more than 800 people to 1,000. Lincoln Middle School opened our parade, followed by the Berwyn Public Library, Emerson School, St. Leonard, Morton West High School, and Morton College. We also welcomed School of Rock, Oak Park, who performed in Berwyn for the first time. Our community enjoyed performance by Baila Conmigo dancers, delicious food from Guadalajara's Bar and Grill, Pinche Miches, Piña Colada, and a special shout out to How to Fade Barber School for giving more than 50 free cuts that day. This event really showed the power of community, neighbors, business, officials, and families all coming together to celebrate culture, unity, and pride. Finally, I want to thank Sandra Diaz, Luis Ortiz, my father, and our entire team for their dedication, passion, and making this celebration possible. From all of us at RE/MAX Partners, thank you so much. Y de parte de nuestra comunidad latina, gracias de corazón por apoyarnos y celebrar con nosotros.
Thank you. So what I heard tonight, a couple of very good ideas. I know Clerk Garcia is working on another Know Your Rights, and I'm helping her with that. I think that I don't have a problem with suspending any of the safety checks, because I do know that that instills fear, because people don't know who's stopping them on the street. So I don't have a problem with that. I also don't have a problem with when Clerk Garcia has her time and her event, that we do it on the reverse 911, because the couple that we've had already were not exactly heavily attended. And I think maybe the message didn't get out enough, so we can do that. Letty, are you, you're with that?
Can I make a statement?
Go ahead.
Yeah, I'd like to also know, I am a proud Mexican American and the clerk of Berwyn. I am listening and hearing to my Hispanic community about what is going on a national level. I'm closely following the ongoing dialogue, and we are talking to Mayor Lovero and elected officials to address something. Mayor Lovero recognizes that Berwyn is a welcoming city. The city of Berwyn, Berwyn Township, Mayor Lovero, Congressman Jesus Garcia, Township Assessor Avila, Assessor Parida, and myself have been part of the Know Your Rights workshops that they've hosted here in Berwyn. The most recent Know Your Rights workshop has taken place on August 5th, and it was hosted at the Joe Velez Center in Berwyn. However, I do want to acknowledge that we need continued conversations and action plans as things evolve. So the Clerk's Department, Mayor Lovero, and any elected officials here in the room would like to have continuous conversations with community members and rapid response team of what they want to see from us. We are taking proactive measures, so I am in conversations to holding another Know Your Rights workshop where it's not just attended by elected officials, but by rapid response team and community members to see what we can do. And as Mayor Lovero addressed, he will be stopping the seatbelt, and we are continuing to listen to your request.
And I think what we also need to do is, because a lot of people don't have the reverse 911, Claudia, what we should probably think about doing is just printing up flyers and delivering them to the households. We can get that company that we use to deliver, so that everybody is aware of the Know Your Rights seminar that the clerk is setting up. So we could do that too. This way everybody at least has contact with it. Okay, thank you, clerk. Anybody, Alderman, for open forum? if we can condense that, because I know that the Know Your Rights that we've had was very large. The couple of attorneys that they had presenting was very large. If we can get it condensed, because we want to put it in English and Spanish, obviously. If we can condense on that, sure. Okay.
Kayla, I can reach out and we can make that happen.
Okay, good.
I
Alderman,
have something.
anything for open
I
forum?
do.
All right, hearing none. Item C1.
I do.
I'm sorry.
Okay. I know that there have been some questions and concerns regarding the availability, presence, and number of crossing guards in our neighborhoods. Each year, we experience natural turnover during the summer months as some guards transition out or move on when their children advance to other schools. That said, I want to assure you that I have been present at every back-to-school event, including in the District 98 on the north side, personally delivering recruitment packets you have before you tonight, and ensuring the city had a presence to answer questions for interested individuals. I am pleased to share that we have already added 5 new crossing guards for this school year alone, with 1 more candidate currently in the pipeline. I will continue to strongly advocate for this vital citywide safety initiative. On October 8th, I will be at the annual District 100 event to further promote the crossing guard program and continue pressing for increased investment from our Berwyn Police Department. Finally, I want to sincerely thank Mayor Lavero and his communications team for their responsiveness and collaboration throughout these recruitment efforts. Together, we are making meaningful progress for the safety of our children and our families. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman. Any other Alderman? Okay. Item C1, please.
Item C1 are the Committee of the Whole and regular City Council meeting minutes of August 26, 2025.
Be my motion to approve the Committee of the Whole and the regular City Council meeting minutes of August 26, 2025.
Second.
Motion by Fate, seconded by Caldwell to approve the Committee of the Whole and council minute meetings of August 26, 2025. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Item I1, please. I'm sorry.
G1?
G.
Okay. Item G1 is a proclamation recognizing Hispanic Heritage Month. The proclamation reads, National Hispanic Heritage Month is celebrated nationwide from September 15 through October 15 each year. And for many of us Latinos, the festivities begin as early as September 1st. During this month, we recognize the September 15, 1821 anniversaries of independence for Latin American countries Costa Rica, El Salvador, Guatemala, Honduras, and Nicaragua, and the independence of Mexico and Chile on September 16 and September 18, respectively. And whereas Latino serves as an umbrella term for individuals that are descendants from Latin American countries and may speak a variety of different languages. Hispanics are individuals that may speak Spanish but are not from Latin America. Latinx is a gender-neutral or non-binary term for people of Latin American descent, which can also encompass Afro-Latino, indigenous, and queer communities. Chicano-Chicana is a chosen cultural identity for people of Mexican descent who were born in the United States and is empowered by the 1960s Chicano movement. And whereas, regardless of which terminology is personally preferred, Berwyn recognizes the Latino spirit, energy, entrepreneurship, philanthropy, and leadership they bring. Latinos play a vital role in our economy and workforce. They shape Berwyn's growth and success by sharing their culture, building businesses, honoring family and community, and bringing people together through food and tradition. And whereas the city of Berwyn is home to a vibrant Hispanic community, representing approximately 65% of the city's population. Berwyn also recognizes that many contributions of Hispanic city employees, elected officials, police officers, military members, teachers, veterans, business owners, nurses, entrepreneurs, and countless others whose dedication continues to strengthen our city. And whereas throughout history and in today's climate, the Latino community has faced challenges with resilience, determination, and pride. Their ability to overcome obstacles while continuing to serve, create, and lead stands as a testament to their strength. In Berwyn, we honor this enduring spirit and celebrate the way it continues to enrich our city and inspire future generations. Now therefore, let it be proclaimed, Mayor Robert Lovero, Clerk Garcia, and the City of Berwyn Council members would like to proudly recognize Hispanic Heritage Month 2025 and celebrate all contributions of our Hispanic community who are essential to the continued prosperity and pride of our city.
Be my motion to adopt the proclamation recognizing Hispanic Heritage Month 2025 and celebrating all the contributions of our Hispanic community who are essential to the continued prosperity and pride of our city.
Second.
Authorize the corporate authorities to fix the necessary signatures and place it on its way to passage.
Second. Motion by Pabon, seconded by Palachek to adopt the proclamation recognizing National Hispanic Heritage Month 2025 and recognize the contributions provided to this community by a Latino population. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have
Mr.
it.
Mayor, I also want to recognize Luis and Sandra and Remax. Everybody, this weekend was unbelievable. How you guys organized everything. You guys touched my heart. I feel like my family grew. You guys have an unbelievable supporter, so I just want to say thank you very much. Sky's the limit, so thank you.
Thank you for hosting.
Item G2, please.
Item line G2 is a handicap parking sign determinations of 6916 26th Street, deny, and 6506 Pershing Road, deny.
I move to concur with the clerk's recommendation to deny the handicap parking sign requests for 6916 26th Street and 6506 Pershing Road.
Second.
Motion by Bowman, seconded by Pabon to concur with the clerk's denial of the handicap parking spaces at 6916 26th Street, 6506 Pershing Road. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Item I1, please.
Item line I1 is a communication from Alderman Caldwell, a resolution of the City of Berwyn in opposition to federal proposals to increase commercial truck size and weight and in support of the Coalition Against Bigger Trucks joint local government letter.
I move to adopt the resolution of the City of Berwyn in opposition to federal proposals to increase commercial truck size and weight and in support of the Coalition Against Bigger Trucks joint local government letter. Direct the corporate authorities to affix the necessary signatures and pass it on its way to passage.
Second.
Motion by Caldwell, seconded by Bowman to adopt the resolution opposing the federal proposals to increase commercial truck size and weight and support of the Coalition Against Bigger Trucks joint local government letter. Affix the necessary signatures and place on its way to passage. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Item J2, please.
J1.
Man, I just stapled together.
Item J1 is a communication from Fire Chief Caniglio seeking authorization to contact the Fire and Police Commission to hire a probationary firefighter paramedic.
I move that we concur with Fire Chief Samiglio's request for permission to contact the Fire and Police Commission to hire the next qualified candidate on the eligibility list for the vacancy in the firefighter paramedic rank.
Second. Motion by Leisure, seconded by Palachik to concur with Chief Caniglio and give him permission to contact the Police and Fire Commission, hire probationary firefighter paramedic. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Item J2, please.
Item J2 is a communication from Senior Engineer Campbell to approve pay estimate number 6 for the Ogden Avenue Water Main and Sewer Project in the amount of $532,699.14 to Trine Construction. This payment should be processed from ARPA funds.
Mr. Mayor, it's my motion to approve on the recommendation of Senior Engineer Campbell. Approve the pay estimate number 6 on the Ogden Avenue Water Main and Sewer Project in the amount of $532,699.14 to Trine Construction. This payment should be processed through ARPA funds.
Second.
Motion by Palachik, seconded by Pabon. I saw his lips move. I didn't know who said it over here. Sorry. To concur with Senior Engineer Campbell and approve the pay estimate number 6 for the Ogden Avenue Water Main and Sewer Project in the amount of $532,699.14 to Trine Construction, payable from the ARPA funds. All those in favor on the call of the roll.
Caldwell.
Aye.
Bowman.
Aye.
Leisure.
Aye.
Faith.
Aye.
Pabon.
Aye.
Palashek.
Aye.
Bruckman.
Aye.
Carmichael.
Aye.
8 ayes, Mayor.
Motion carried. The consent agenda.
I move to accept the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Motion by Caldwell, seconded by Faith to accept the consent agenda as presented. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Alderman committee meetings. Alderman Caldwell.
Call the chair.
Alderman Bowman.
Call the chair.
Alderman Leisure.
Call of the chair.
Alderman Faith.
Call it, Chair.
Alderman Pabon.
Call the chair.
Alderman Palashik.
Call the chair.
Alderman Bruckman.
Call the chair.
Alderman Carmichael.
I have a ward meeting next Tuesday, September 16th at 8 p.m. at the Joe Velez Activity Center at 1529 Harlem. And I will call the chair and make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion adjourned by Carmichael, seconded by Fate, and I just want to add, we all need to be very vigilant at this point in time because we have a lot of information. The governor came out on his own. I didn't even know he was here, which kind of, I guess they tried to get a hold of me at night, and I had no idea they were here. But I think we do need to be vigilant with our safety and our residents and our families and our neighbors. We have to watch out for our neighbors. We do know that ICE is here, and we do know that our police department and our fire department and the whole city staff are not cooperating with ICE, nor are we giving any information to ICE. But we need to watch our surroundings. We need to be careful, and we need to watch out to the most vulnerable that we have. I was very concerned, and I think RE/MAX did a great job. Alderman Plotchik did a great job. I was very concerned at the Hispanic Heritage Parade because we had a lot of young, not children, young adults there from the Morton band, and I was very concerned. Actually, Commander Fellows and I drove around in the car to make sure we didn't spot anything so that we can be cautious if we did. So let's please keep an eye out for our neighbors, and let's be vigilant. Thank you all. I have a motion to adjourn and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you.